Welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we're speaking with Alysa Bennett in conjunction with her Cerulean Collective Exhibition, which is on view through December 3rd. Hi, Alysa.
Hello, how
How
are
are
you?
you?
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. So we're going to head into your show. So please tell us about your exhibition.
Well, this is an exhibition of something I've never done before, which in subject matter anyway, which was a switch from many years of drawing horses and trees to deciding to go to goats because I needed a new what something to kick me back in. And I just love goats, and I had them as a child. And this goat here, what I found out about them is that one of the things that's so intriguing about them is their eyes, and those strange irises that they have, which can be extremely kind of that they're staring at you, they're taunting you to play, which goats do, of course. Um,
So Lisa, you said you grew up with them. Where did you grow up?
Oh, when I was a child, in California, my father bought me two little goats, two baby goats to have, and they used to nurse on my earlobes, and they had my little teepee tent. This guy
You
has another one of those wonderful eyes.
you
Yeah,
grew up on a ranch?
on a ranch in California. Yeah, in part, my parents were divorced, but in part on the ranch. And yeah, I had those little goats, Billy and Susie. So they're wonderful animals. And when I spend time in Vermont, which I do in the summer, I also am right down the road from a goat farm. Uh, and I get to go up there and draw all the goats that are there and try to get an idea about their personalities. This was sort of one of the very first ones. I was just trying to really figure out, one of the things they love to do is, of course, butt each other and butt you if you get in their way, whatever. But confrontation, and they also have just amazing horns. And they're so different. Every goat is so amazingly different from other goats with their horn shapes and what kind of hair they have. And anyway, so let's see. The little guy, are you going to the little guy there, or are you going to the red one, or okay. Well, this is a little guy and when I was doing mostly horses, which I did for many years in sculpture, they were all created out of feathers. Um, this fellow is all feathers except for his horns, of course, which are just twine, really. And
So why feathers?
oh, why feathers? Well, when I started feathers with the horses, it was sort of a way of talking about the fragility and strength. So the horses being very strong animals, with the fragileness of the feathers. And is sort of one animal defining another. So these are feathers defining this goat here. Two different kinds. He's got pheasant feathers on his face, and then I think these are rooster feathers on the back of him.
So how
But
did
they're climbers, and that's why he's on a rock.
So how did
Uh,
you come to this sort of sculpture, like an assemblage type of sculpture or mixed media?
a mixed media. Well, it seemed important along the way to put them someplace where they look natural. I mean, not 100%, obviously, but just to emphasize their place in the natural world.
So were you trained as a sculptor?
No, I never took a sculptor class in my life.
Yeah, so how did you evolve into to making sculptures?
Um, It was a long time ago. I started, for some reason, I don't know, by putting straw on canvas and creating sculpture, just sort of very low three-dimensional sculpture out of straw, which I had seen I had seen a piece of art that was created that way. And it was a long time ago, and I just really wanted to try that. So then that led to totally three-dimensional straw horses, which I made, which were about, I would say, two-thirds life size. They were pretty big. Um, and I just liked the chaos of the straw being brought together into creating an image of a horse. Um, but these are like that blue one right there. He's made out of macaw feathers, and so it's just combining different things, sort of in maybe a surprising way. Um, so the straw horses evolved into the feathered horses, and this guy, the background, I looked at a lot of cave paintings of goats. I thought I might try to do something like that, but then I just decided to use that background, that sort of cavey, natural uh, earth background to define this guy. And they just have wild horns. They're so much fun. And this guy's got, of course, a long hair. Um, it's just, this show really was the results of very new experiments for me, which was a little scary. Um,
You mean in working with the goat?
a completely different subject
Uh-huh.
about which I knew nothing really. I mean, I love them as animals, but I didn't know their form. I just had to study their body structures, and then of course the way they look at you or they play with you, all these things that are different than horses. When I first started drawing them, they kept looking like horses, and I go, what would I do wrong?
Mhm.
um, so I think just drawing them over and over and over again.
So
This
is drawing like the driver for you, or
Yes, it always has been. Drawing is the most important part. I love making the sculptures. I love making something that exists three-dimensionally in the world. But the drawing is how I can really experiment and investigate, I think. This goat is sitting in the plants surrounding him in a garden of a plant called goat's rue, which I love, RUE, uh, which is actually a beautiful plant with purple flowers. But I had to stay with my old friend Charcoal for a while I figured it out. Um, and the goats, they have all kind of different kinds of ear structures and horn structures, and everything is just amazingly different about. Um, this guy was, oh, you want to go? Yeah, that guy over there, the drawing. This guy, he's being surrounded by a plant that is called goat's beard,
Mm.
which is a common plant and of course, goats have beards, or 90% of them have beards anyway.
Mhm.
So that was just a fun way of setting him in a garden. I was looking at a lot of Rousseau and all that, sometimes making the plants outsized over what they would be. But just, I don't know, I just wanted to keep it sort of playful. I mean, I was playing. I had to, I had to play in order to figure out where I was with the goats. I just had to say, oh, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. I don't know. I don't know where it's going, but I'm gonna try it. Uh and
This one's a bit different. There's no feathers for the
Well,
body.
he's got a feathered tail and a
Right?
feathered beard.
Uh-huh. But the body is
No,
different.
he's not. He's a painted goat, and
Um,
he was one of the last. I created the base for him. I created his body structure from the styrofoam and the plaster that I use. And I just kind of all of a sudden just stopped, and I just didn't know how I wanted to define him on the surface. And I sort of I just didn't want to do that many feathers anymore. So I don't know, I just decided to try and paint. Um,
So you call
and
it goat spirit.
he is goat spirit. I thought maybe he was, I think that the painting in there is, a little bit from the Southwest, a little bit maybe American, Native American, maybe just or a little bit abstracted landscape. Um, so that's the first and only one I've ever done that has been painted.
Hmm.
But it was a wonderful um, experiment for me, and I'd like to continue with that now as I go forward. Um, but yeah, he was fun to make because I just didn't know where I was going, and I just said, "All right, what happens if we do this?"
Mhm.
One, one of those wonderful things you can do in art. Yeah,
Is that an important factor? Like enjoying what you're doing?
I think absolutely. Yes, and that's why I had to switch to goats, because to go back again to the horses and do exactly what I've been doing before, just I couldn't go forward with it. I don't know, I needed to experiment to
Change.
experimenting in art is just like allowing yourself to make bad art too, and just like, oh my God, this is horrible, throw it out. But everything you do teaches you something
Yeah,
else.
we'll take detours.
Yes, absolutely. This guy is uh these are duck feathers. No, no, sorry, pigeon feathers. His tail is made out of an old paintbrush, uh, as is his beard. But
So,
I liked it because I thought he was showing some spirit there, like he's like looking around, going, "Wait, what's going on here?"
mhm.
And again, on a natural base, trying to.
So where do you get the feathers? Like,
Oh, I've been getting feathers for so many years. There are lots of places. I used to go to a place in New York City that you actually could walk into, and they had bins of feathers. They did a lot of the what am I trying to say? This people that in the Rockettes or whatever that would be in feathers, they would um but you could get all kinds of feathers. But now I have different people,
mm,
you know. I have a man in Florida who is my feather for the blue feathers.
your feathered
Uh,
friend.
he's my contact. He's my contact for the macaw blue feathers.
Hmm.
This big sheet I did. This is one of the first things I did where I was trying to take a look at all the different kinds of goats and what they look like and how they presented themselves. And it was really made just as a something for myself, but um,
A study.
as a study. They were just studies, I don't know, but how do I study the structure of this goat who doesn't look anything like a horse, Um, and so that's why they're sort of they're freer in their line, because they were just trying to figure things out as you go along. And it's fun. I had a fun time doing this. I did a lot of big drawings before I did this is the guy that ended up over there, and the other one as the goat in the goat's rue. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think, looking even more surprised in the goat's room than here. Um, but they're just marvelous animals. And the other thing, and hopefully towards another show, perhaps, I'm going to start really investigating more of their mythology of goats, because if you look at it, that they are mythological figures, you know, basically throughout history. You can, all over the Middle East and into Europe and everything, they were figures in mythology, they were figures in the cave paintings. They were they were ubiquitous, really, in a lot of the world. So I want to investigate that a little bit more and see how I can use that. Um, see, this guy, he was one of the first ones I did. I'd had these they're silver pheasant feathers, these black and white striped feathers, which are just so beautiful. And I'd had them in my studio for a while. I never made a horse out of them, but I thought, oh my gosh, this could work. So I just wanted, I wanted to make him elegant. He and the blue horse have the gold horns. I think black, white, and gold is elegant, and I think that that goats can be elegant
Very
too.
sophisticated.
Very sophisticated goat, yes, with their great big huge tummies, and yeah, and then
So
the feather.
do you have access to like live animals anymore? Like
Oh
through
yeah, well, oh, look, that feather fell down. Oh, I gotta go fix that.
uh,
Yeah, well, in Vermont, well, there are a lot of horses that are close by, but then there was also the goat farm.
hmm.
Um, and the
So you
lovely
go
people.
there and like draw them or
Yeah, I could go right into the pen and sit down and draw them, and they would, they'd come over and say, "What the hell are you doing here?" And they're very lovely animals. And, I guess this is one of the first ones I did. I just thought of goats as sort of being climbers, but they're also actors, in a lot of ways. So I thought if I put him on a ball, he would seem sort of like a goat actor.
uh-huh. It's performing.
He's performing, yeah. And it was fun to draw all that thick fur, or hair rather, on him.
So you're
Just
using like a red chalk or a brown.
Yeah, it was a brown. I like brown chalk, and then the red pastel on on the ball. And to be honest, I've always loved Sidney Goodman's
Mm,
drawing of the man on the red ball.
right. Yes,
I
it's
think
same color
that was in
scheme.
my head when I went to the red ball for this guy. So uh, anyway, I guess that's kind of it for the show. But
Yeah, it's a wonderful show. Thank you so
thank-
much.
well, thank you. It was fun, taking them out of the complete and utter chaos of the studio and seeing them up sort of individualized.
Right. It's
Uh,
always a different experience to
it is very much so. Yes, absolutely.
come out of your workspace.
A complete mess.
Well, the show is up through December 3rd, so we hope people can come down and check it out. And everything's also on the website, ceruleanarts.com. So thanks again, Alysa, and have a great night.
Okay, you too. Thank you, Mike.